Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late today. I just want to talk a few minutes today about crate placement options when you are doing crate training as a way to kind of tailor your training to your dog, especially if you're struggling with a sort of more standard crate training plan. So, who is this for today? This is for you if you either want to start crate training or you've been crate training your dog, but it's not going very well. Or if you just want your dog to have a more comfortable, safe places than they already do. So, crate placement considerations. Number one is how secluded is the crate? For some of you, your dogs are quite sensitive to the traffic in the house. They may be afraid of you or other family members or other pets, and they may prefer a much more secluded crate, whereas other dogs might prefer to be in the center of the action in the house. And so that may affect where you place the crate for training to make it more attractive to your dog. So, some examples of out of the way crate locations, if you're looking for something more secluded, might be a guest room, a closet, a spare bathroom, the corner of a less used room, like in this photo here on this slide. This was Pancake's initial crate placement, and he did need a more secluded location. And this was in a fenced off corner of an office where it's a room I only went in, no one else went in there. And that was about as secluded as we could get in this house. Even an extra storage room or something, if you have a way to make space that the dog can have as their own. Now, for those of you who have dogs who prefer to always be near you or be near someone or near the action in the house, some good places to do some crate training might be having with the crate next to your quote unquote TV chair or your sofa, wherever you settle down maybe in evenings to relax. Next to your desk. So in this photo here, Pancake had graduated from wanting to be completely secluded to wanting to be near me. And so we did some of his crate training with a crate next to my desk where I was sitting for much of the day. The kitchen in many houses, many homes is a pretty busy area. So if you have a way to put the crate in or near the kitchen, that might be another attractive location for your dog. But really, wherever you or your family spends time. It might make it more likely that your dog will willingly go into and hang out in the crate if they like to be in the center of activity, and you provide that for them. Now, there are quite a few dogs that need something kind of in between. So they don't want to be totally isolated, but really being in the center of everything is a little bit too much for them. So they do better kind of on the periphery of traffic or busyness in your house. So some locations I've found helpful for these dogs are under the kitchen table or under a side table, between the end of the sofa and the wall. So that's what this photo is here, is a crate parked at the end, one of the ends of a sofa in our living room, or where two sofas meet. It's like kind of protected, but it's still near people. Sometimes just around the corner from a busy room might be a good option. So not in the line of sight, but they can kind of peek around the corner a little bit. Or sometimes line of sight to a busy room, but from an adjacent room. So they can watch the action, watch people moving around, but they're not too close. So that was how secluded. The other sort of helpful variable I found for crate training dogs who are maybe don't love the crate and you need to get a little more creative is the height of the crate. Some dogs really prefer being up on something, and some don't. So you could think about placing the crate, at least for training purposes, on a sofa or bed, or on the floor if they prefer it low. It doesn't mean the crate always has to be up high, but if you're struggling to get your dog to go into the crate and enjoy the crate, sometimes putting it up where they can, if they're in it, they can see people more easily or see people's faces perhaps. That seems to help some dogs. And then, as you can imagine, you can combine those two sort of parameters, how secluded or how far away from traffic and how high the crate is, to try to find sort of what's ideal or as close to ideal as you can get for your dog during their crate training. So for a dog who wants to be close, you could put them close to your feet, at the foot of your chair or sofa or something. Or this was something Pancake really liked and made crate training easier for us. He really liked to be at one stage anyway in his training near me, and also up more at eye level. So if I were sitting on one sofa, I might have his crate up on an adjacent sofa so he could see me better. If you've got a dog who wants space, who needs a more secluded location, you can still put the crate up on something like if you have a guest bed that you don't need right now, or a sofa in a room that's not as often used. They do have to be able to get up there, obviously. So if you have a smaller dog, like for Pancake, we have ramps and things for him to get up on furniture. Or again, you can place it on the floor if they seem to prefer that a lower height for their crate. And then those periphery dogs, those dogs who want to be able to keep an eye on the action, but not be in it exactly. I've had luck with having that crate up on a sofa, but in, again, an adjacent room to like a busy room like the kitchen. So they can see into the kitchen, but they're not in there. Or sometimes on the floor, like under the kitchen table. So they're kind of protected, but they can see what's going on. So those are just examples of combining sort of how secluded and how high up the crate is. So a few examples then, real life examples with Pancake of things I experimented with when I was crate training him. Here is one that is close proximity to me and up high, more at my eye level. At the time, this was my desk. You can see the corner of the black table here. So that's where I would sit to work, and he could see me from the bed. Now, I'm not saying that if you find like this ideal location for your dog, you can just immediately close them into the crate. I didn't close Pancake in the crate for a long time, but this was at a stage in training where we were working on comfort with the sort of being closed into the crate for a while, and it was easier for him if he was up where he could see me at my desk. And here's kind of another example. This was later in training. And this is just also a reminder that just because you might do better right now to put the crate up at eye level for training doesn't mean it has to stay there forever. So after Pancake was pretty comfortable hanging out in a closed crate up on a spare bed where he could see me, we then later worked on him hanging out in a crate on the floor next to me, and he was able to do that then. All right, so just a quick review. This photo is another example of a kind of more eye level and close proximity crate location. This is what I call my work bed. It's in my office, and I sometimes sit here instead of at my desk with my laptop. And this crate I just put right next to where I sit it's just another way to work on some crate training that's convenient and easy for a dog who wants to be near you and isn't super comfortable yet really being confined. So think about how secluded your dog needs to be comfortable, center of activity or close but hidden or totally out of the way, and whether they might prefer to be raised up a bit so they have a better view of what's going on, or whether they kind of prefer to be more tucked down near the floor. And sometimes the dogs that like to be low on the floor also like their crates to be covered or kind of in a corner or something, a little more protected. All right, folks, I hope that helps you tailor your crate training plan to your dog. I know if you have a bigger dog, you may have fewer options as to where you can put a crate up on something, but even if you have a really big dog, you can probably if you have a spare bed somewhere you're not using all the time, probably a crate will fit up there at least, if not on a sofa. If you need a raised up platform, you could even potentially build something if you're handy and you need an intermediate crate setup for now because your dog doesn't like to go into a crate on the floor. So thanks. I will see you next week. In the meantime, if you're not already on our newsletter and want to be reminded each week of new content and be alerted to any new classes we're having or promotions or anything like that, go ahead to dogkindtraining.com/newsletter and sign up, and then you'll get a brief weekly kind of digest of what's going on with us. All right, everybody, have a lovely week, and I will see you next week.